We'll shift focus to a guest who's waiting. Atul Kumar Rai, CEO and MD of IFCI, joins us. Mr. Rai, thanks much. You've seen the draft rules. How does that place IFCI? Does it make it more attractive? What are your key takeaways from your point of view?
Good morning, Lata. The draft guidelines, as far as IFCI is concerned, I think there are just one or two matters of detail. But otherwise, IFCI seems to be eminently eligible for banking license. Of course, as I have mentioned many times earlier, that we believe banking was our destiny when development financial institutions were given this option, but somehow we could not get it way back in 1995. So we have gone through ups and downs, but right now in terms of our financial strength, in terms of our ability to manage new businesses, we find ourselves internally to be capable of taking up banking as a viable business option. And as far as the guidelines are concerned, there are no major surprises in terms of holding company structure or the capital requirement, or even perhaps certain kind of criteria which could be placed on the business model. IFCI would be willing to look at all of that.
Mr. Rai, hi, morning. The new banking license guidelines have in a way excluded some of the PSUs like yourself. What if you made of that? And we understand that some companies have approached the administrative ministries as well for a clarification. Any status check on what came out of that, if at all?
I am not very clear about what you mean by a PSU here, because IFCI as such does not have government as one of its shareholders. The shareholding of the government in IFCI is zero. That of all public sector entities put together comes to around 26.5% today. So we are not exactly a public sector undertaking. There could be certain implications for other entities. I mean, I might wish to take their name, but that is not necessary. Those who have been in the business for a while and those who might have been looking at it, and they are in the public sector. But we are, strictly speaking, not in the public sector. So my own conviction would be that were it to be the case that banking license were to preclude public sector undertaking, IFCI would still be very, very eligible. IFCI is not in the public sector.
But have you sought a clarification from the RBI itself or from the ministry? What kinds of institutions have been excluded at all?
As I said, whatever my reading so far is, it leads me to suppose that IFCI is not amongst the excluded entities on any of the criteria. There could be something like last 10 years track record. We have been there since 1948, so obviously we think that we have 64 years of track record. That could be an issue if you look at the track record definition of what that track record is. I mean, having been in existence, having had a certain size or something like that, those could be the only issues of any kind of concern to IFCI. And as far as seeking clarification is concerned, as I said, we do not believe that there is anything on which we need to seek clarification. And besides, Reserve Bank of India has given I think, time up to the end of October for all of us to represent to them if there are any concerns either relating to individual entities or relating to guidelines in general. So I think that would be the right time to go to them. And in fact, that only leads me to suppose that what we might need at this point of time is maybe some acceleration in the speed towards finalization of guidelines thereafter.
All right, that's good to know, sir. About we just needed this clarification. But moving on, there are a couple of subsidiaries in which you're looking to do some value unlocking as well. Could you just give us details on that, timelines, etc.?
We would like that to happen as quickly as possible, because it is our own internal commitment and also a commitment to our shareholders. So we would like that to happen. But there is, as you know, there is a process. IFCI Factors, which is the first amongst the subsidiaries of IFCI to go to the capital markets in recent times. Of course, we've had others before. Has already filed draft red herring prospectus in the month of July. And I think thereafter we have to look at what are the kind of comments, etc., that we receive, and we have to go according to the procedure prescribed by SEBI for it.
So how much are you looking to raise via IFCI factors?
This is something that now, after we have filed the draft retained prospectus, I am not at liberty to disclose. So we will have to just wait and see and wait and watch. I hope the markets kind of bounce back and we get a healthy kind of return or healthy kind of subscription to whatever our amounts are. But the amount itself will not be something I'm at liberty to disclose right now.
What kind of valuation have you done and got for IFCI factors?
As I said, these are all matters which I believe require some kind of discretion on my part to discuss now. They can only be discussed through the appropriate regulatory agency, and I would like to stick by that.
Okay. Mr. Rai, what exactly is IFCI's investment book at this point in time? What's the size?
Our investment book, what we call investment book, is made up of generally legacy investments and of course a little bit of investments which we acquire from the perspective of management of our treasury operations. The overall size, again, give or take whatever kind of adjustments which need to be made depending on mark-to-market considerations, is a little over 1,000 crores.
Okay. Okay. There was a mention that you can't own the pledged shares of GTL, or you couldn't sell them, that they are just pledged to you. Any comment on that?
As far as the client-specific information is concerned, I think again it's a matter of contract between the two of us. But the general issue that you mentioned, and which is a legal issue and which has been covered in the press, on which I think I'm obliged to make a comment, is on the ability of the financial institutions to invoke the pledge and hold the shares in their own account. I believe, and this is my reading and interpretation, that IFCI has been right in invoking the pledge. There is some issue about the procedure we need to have followed about notice, etc. But the substantive question of the right for a lender to claim its dues by way of invoking the pledge have been upheld by the Honorable High Court. This is my understanding, and if there is something else which has appeared in the press, etc., I think that may not be just as quite accurate in terms of what the High Court, Honorable High Court, has actually said about it.
Mr. Rai, at an analyst meet earlier on, there were some comments made about taking concrete steps to improve the profitability in the broking arm as well, IFCI Financial. With the way the industry is progressing at this time, how do you see things pan out, and what kind of steps will IFCI be taking?
As you know, our broking arm was, again, it was set up about 15 or 20 years ago. It suffered again because of our own lack of ability to kind of capitalize it fully and give it adequate kind of thrust in terms of quality manpower. These issues have been addressed. Right now, as I would imagine, this is not a very good time for us to begin to take long-term calls on broking entities. You know, the capital markets have not been in the most buoyant of conditions. There are issues which have which continue to be with us about institutional class of investors and mutual funds and so on. So those are the issues also which are very much relevant in terms of how the broking entities are doing. We have seen again press reports of huge layoffs, etc. So I would imagine that, you know, this is not the best of times, and one can, if one takes a long-term call, be forced or into an action, which is not what IFCI's kind of mandate or IFCI's own understanding is. Our strength precisely is to be able to withstand these, you know, ups and downs of business cycles. I mean, our broking entity should be able to withstand the business cycle and emerge at the end of it stronger in terms of having consolidated its own business operations and so on. So I would expect that to be our response. I'm not taking a long-term call personally.